Hi there, it's Dan Ellis from EPX Technical Services with some more IT advice for business owners and leaders. Today I'm going to cover a topic which you will see in some of our historical videos I've covered quite a lot, which is cybersecurity. Do not worry, I do not plan to get overly technical in this video. This is advice for business owners. To start off with, cybersecurity is not just an IT issue. Cybersecurity should never be an IT issue. You need involvement from all the stakeholders in the company and all of the employees in the company. No matter how good your security is, if people are not trained, if people are not bought into the process, your business will remain unprotected. And a lot of business owners don't know who is responsible for IT security. A lot of business owners may think we've subcontracted that out, whereas a lot of third-party providers may say we cover these bits, but the company covers those bits. So today I'm going to give you a simple checklist that you as a business owner should be factoring in when thinking about your IT security. Section 1. The risk assessment. This is a standard risk assessment, but you need to be carrying this out for your IT systems. Many IT departments will never even think to do a risk assessment, whereas people in a warehouse or physically dangerous environment will often think to do a risk assessment. You should be doing risk assessments for tech, not just computers, things that connect to your network, like in a warehousing environment, you might have all your barcode scanners. In a manufacturing environment, you might have some big machine with computer that powers it. You should be asking yourself in each case, for your computers, for your critical staff members, or for your physical piece of equipment, what is the impact of this going down? How likely is it to go down? Standard risk assessment. Who do I call if there's an issue with it? And what is their response time? It may turn out that their response times are weak, but that's okay because it's a non-critical piece of equipment. But if the response times are weak and it's a showstopper, that's a problem. So standard risk assessment, right? That should be carried out on your IT, not just on your physically dangerous piece of equipment. The next one is data backup and security. The classic disaster recovery. You should be thinking about this in your business always. Attacks will happen or physical failures will happen. You will spend a lot of your time, or at least your IT people should spend a lot of the time, trying to mitigate these disasters. But when it happens, you should be asking yourself, is every single system that I have backed up? And I mean not just all your files, which are the most obvious one, but your accounts package, which lives out there on the cloud. What happens if there's a major outage there? What happens if they lose data? Have you read the terms and conditions of all the software you buy? You may be alarmed to learn that in the terms and conditions of certain software packages, they state backups, keeping copies of the data, that's on you, it's not on them. Most people don't realize that. So for all of the systems, you should be saying, have I got backup for these systems? And critically, if I lose data, how long will it take me to restore from that backup? Because a lot of people think, oh, we've got backup, no problem. And then they come to restore from the backup, and you got a week before you're back up on your feet. So that's one thing you should always be checking. What is the response time? Next, section 3, employee awareness. So I've mentioned before, employees are the key to cybersecurity. Try and imagine it like a house. You've fitted all the locks, you've fitted the burglar alarm, you've got the bulletproof windows. Then the staff member leaves the door open. That's kind of the analogy that we're talking about here. IT security can be flummoxed by a member of staff clicking the wrong thing. Now, you may be thinking, well, IT people, don't make that happen. Don't design me a system that can be flummoxed by a member of staff doing the wrong thing. It's not that easy. It's not that simple, should I say. A member of staff might click on a random form and fill in their username and password and press the button on their two-factor authentication, but it turns out they've clicked on some nasty thing that IT was completely unable to stop. IT do fine work blocking as many things as possible, but there will be something they cannot block. This will happen, and it can be a business-destroying mistake. So the employees, you should be running regular tests. We do phishing tests in our company where we will send your members of staff fake attacks just to see if they fall for it, just to see if they click on that link or download that file. We also provide training to employees about how to pick good passwords and how to avoid certain types of suspicious website. But you should be doing this with all your staff, and you should be testing them on it as well. Security is everybody's responsibility. Section 4. This is the most technical that I plan to get in this talk. Multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication is something you should have on everything. Everything. I've got it on my Facebook, I've got it on my Instagram, my Gmail account, and my work account and my bank accounts and my PayPal and such. Multi-factor should be on absolutely everything you possibly can. Multi-factor, you're probably familiar with. It is the premise about the password is the thing you know, and then it's combined with a physical thing that you have, which is often a phone where you need to press accept, or a little USB token where you need to press the button. The logic is, if a hacker gets your password, which is alarmingly possible in the modern world, if a hacker gets your password, they still haven't got the device in your pocket. That is the critical part of multi-factor. It's making sure that when you log on, you have a password and a physical thing. The reason why I'm choosing to bring this up in what I promised you was going to be a relatively non-technical talk, Microsoft did an announcement a little while ago saying that of the breaches that had happened on their systems for their customers, 99-point-something% of them could have been stopped if these users had multi-factor enabled. Now, a lot of companies are starting to force that so you don't have a choice. But if there are any systems that you have in your business that do not need multi-factor authentication, get that investigated as fast as possible. Section 5, the incident response plan, or you could also bundle this in with the disaster recovery plan. You as a company should have one of these for tech. You can work with your IT people, your IT department, your third-party contractors, whoever, to help put this together. Just some examples of what you might find in a disaster recovery plan. Here's the obvious one. Oh no, I've lost all my data. Where's the backup kept? Who do I need to call to get it back? How long is it going to take to get back up on my feet? You may think of things like fire and flood, in which case it's how can I get a backup server as quickly as possible. In the days of the cloud, that's a lot easier. For fire and flood, you may send people home and say, you need to use your laptop at home. If you don't have a laptop, we can order a new one in X amount of days from the provider. This kind of thing. But what you may forget in a disaster recovery plan is what happens if those people doing roadworks half a mile down the road drill through the broadband line, providing broadband to the building? What happens if there's a power cut because of some regional issue? What are you going to do in these instances? There are solutions to all of these, but you should have a plan, and you should know who you're going to call and who's going to help you out in each scenario. And also, the disaster recovery plan, have a printed copy, because if it's on the server and you have a disaster, that's not so handy. Ideally, your IT provider would also keep a copy. Number 6, regular security audits. There are a few types of audit you can do. As an MSP, some of the audits that we do is we'll look over your 365 deployment, or we'll look over your physical network and make sure things are conforming to best practices. Sometimes we will provide certain best practices as part of our service, but sometimes we'll go in and do a thorough audit of a network to say, okay, you're trying to get your cyber essentials, let's look through the list. You're trying to get NIST, you're getting ISO 27001. These are things that you go through once, and then you should go over again every 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, depending on what the audit is in each case. Talk to your IT people, because there is no way that IT is a fit and forget thing. Once you've bought the equipment and you've paid for the support, test it. Test it. You want to know that your IT people are going to carry out some audits. If they don't do it as part of their standard service, which is often not the case, ask them to schedule in a 6-monthly IT security audit. It's best if they have a framework to work to, such as, I want you doing our cyber essentials check every year, or we do ISO 27001. I want you to go through the checklist we've made every X number of months. There's a brilliant thing that you can purchase called penetration testing. It's where you hire a third-party company, notably not your IT provider, and the third-party company will come in and they will do a focused attack on your network to see how they can break in. And invariably they can. That's one of the scary things in the IT world. If someone's really dead set on breaking into your network, there's a high probability that they'll be able to. So you need to make sure that you're hiring companies to do these penetration tests to find out where all the cracks are in the security. Because this often goes way beyond the scope of your average IT department or managed service provider. So regular security audits are something you should have in your company calendar, or at least your IT people should have. So to recap on everything we've covered today, there's, to start with, the risk assessment for the company. Then there's backup and disaster recovery, employee training, multi-factor authentication, having an incident response plan, and regular security audits. Now, at my company, at EPX, we can do these things for you. Just talk to us and ask. If you are not fortunate enough to use our services, talk to your IT people. Get them to look through all of this. Make sure they're doing this for you. You should be holding your IT people to account, saying, what are you doing for our company's security? Is it adhering to any well-known frameworks? Or are you just winging it? This is all things you should be checking out. Please contact me if you'd like any extra advice, assistance, or if you'd just like to bounce an idea off me. Always happy to help. Thank you so much.